Hey, what is good? What is good? What is good, ladies and gentlemen? Of course, you know who I be. Good Doc, Dr. Mike TV, back again, once again, with a long overdue video. First time to the channel, guys, make sure you like, subscribe, notify, do all the good things to make yourself well-versed in the Good Doc's content. Everything you should need to know about yours truly shall be listed in a link in the description area below. What defines a high-value man abroad? What constitutes, what values, what resources, what would constitute a foreigner being considered to be high value abroad? Let's go ahead and dive headfirst into this topic of conversation. Kevin Samuels, man, he didn't invent the phrase of a high value man, but damn it, if he hasn't taken it and ran with it all the way to the moon with it. He did an interview a while back. I think it might have been one of his first ever interviews with the Roommates podcast. And in that particular video, he really broke down his understanding of what a high value man was in reference to the resources that they have, the networks that they have, being able to show their work, being able to show their worth, you know, the being utilized and being used and all of the above. But I think what a lot of people seem to really lock in on, and what a lot of people seem to really focus in on in reference to the high value standard, was the idea of how much money you needed to make in order to be considered high value. And in that particular interview, he mentioned that $10,000 monthly, which would cover about $100,000 or at least six figures, you know, $120,000 a year, would put you in the high value caliber bracket. But I think too many people focused in and locked in on the actual price point or the actual numbers value, that they failed to kind of realize everything else that he was saying, that not everybody is meant to be at that level. Not everybody wants to be at that level. But if you had to really understand what it meant to be high value, you got to do things. You got to be able to, you know, assert yourself, be assertive, you know, do the actions, whatever it takes for you to reach that level. And then he talked about being a YouTuber, how, you know, y'all are only seeing the 5%. This is the one that really stuck with me the most. Y'all are only seeing the 5% of what it is that it took for him to get there. The other 95%, the hard work, the long nights, and all of the above, in reference to getting him to where he is now, y'all don't see that. That's like LeBron James, man. Y'all don't see LeBron practicing in the gym. Y'all don't see Jordan when he was in the gym, or Kobe when they were in the gym. Y'all only see the effects of the practice and the hard work and the long nights. But that's what encompasses high value. So a lot of people were asking me a long time ago, and I did this work and I did this study on my own a while back, but I asked the question to my audience, guys, what do you think constitutes the 1% in the Philippines? How much money do you need to make on an annual basis to be considered high value and or amongst the upper echelon, amongst the 1% in the Philippines? Now, I asked this during a live stream, so this was never in a video or anything. I don't even remember what the live stream was, but I asked the question, but I already knew the answer. And the answer was officially 2.9 million pesos annually, which roughly equates to about $60,000 a year, which, if you broke that down by month, roughly equates to about 5,000 USD per month. If you are consistently bringing in $5,000 per month, bringing in $60,000 annually on a consistent basis, you are considered to be the upper echelon in the Philippines. You are a part of the 1% of the Philippines. Now, I've seen some crazy rich Asians, and a lot of us will never touch what they got, and that's okay. I want you to understand something, and I want you to be able to take this particular talking point away from this particular video. You don't have to be high value in the Philippines, or you don't have to be high value. You just have to have value. All right? You don't necessarily have to shoot for the stars. I don't want you to, you know, null and void yourself or to cap yourself at a limit or anything, because sky's the limit. I never want you to do that. But you don't necessarily have to bring in millions and millions of dollars or whatever it is in order to be considered high value. All right? You don't even need to bring in six figures a year annually in order to be considered high value when you're operating abroad. All it takes is just having value, bringing something to the table in any right or any instance. And that's where a lot of people seem to fail to realize that how valuable you are to people is a direct effect of who you are as a person. What you can do for others when the time calls for it is normally what will equate your value. Now, that doesn't necessarily mean getting in a relationship with a Filipina and because you got money to be able to take care of her family, that makes you valuable. Granted, it does to her in that particular situation. It means that if you're the type of person, regardless of where you are in the world, if you know how to come through clutch, or you know how to present yourself in a way that people can respect, that people can know when they see you, you about your business, that people put respect on your name when you go places, I believe that's all the value you will ever need. I have never needed money to validate who I am as an individual. I'm broke as fuck. Doc don't make money like that. I make money, I do okay. But just because I'm not, quote unquote, based on the monetary value considered to be high value, that doesn't necessarily take away what I bring to the table. That doesn't necessarily make me feel lesser than any man. And I don't think that it should either. And the reason I like talking about topics like this is because I think that we do too much comparisons of ourselves to others. And that's what puts us in a situation wherein we feel like we are lesser than others if we don't make more money than that person over there. In the Philippines, that's never really an issue. In work, when you're abroad, that's never really a thing because your competition, who are you really in competition with when you're living abroad? Personally, if you've made it abroad, you've already made it. If you ask me, if you've made it abroad, you have already made it. There's really, in my opinion, just being able to live your best life and live it up, if that's what you want to do, that is the only thing that you could possibly do from that point on. Because once you made it abroad and once you're comfortable abroad, once you've made enough money to where you're satisfied and you're making enough on a monthly basis to where you can live your best life humanly possible, guess what? That means to me that you made it, and that means to me that you've put yourself in a valuable position. Okay? And I feel as though a lot of us brothers, my Caucasian brethren as well, spend too much time comparing ourselves to others. And that's where we go wrong. We are so caught up in the comparison of ourselves to others that we tend to lose sight on damn near everything that's important, because honestly, in the society that we live in, whether we're at home or abroad, it seems to me that everybody's so caught up on the materialistic things. Driving the Ferrari, getting the Bugatti, getting the fancy cars, having the big ass houses and stuff like that. That is where we go wrong, because if we see somebody else over there with it, we know that we want it, so we doing what we can to get it. Once we get it, then what? You're going to want something else. You're going to want something more. And because of that constant need to drive to get something, and that constant need to beat everybody else, it'll always be a competition within ourselves that we feel that we're basically competing against everybody else. Because you always want to be the best. That's an alpha thing, if you want to know the truth. If you are at the top of the, top of the heap, you're the lion of the jungle and everything like that. You get all the girls, you get all the accolades, you get all the attention, you get all the praise. I personally don't need, want, nor strive to have any of that. I don't need you to praise me or pat me on the back. I just want to live my life. And once I've done enough for me, note that. Once I've done enough for me to put myself in a position of satisfaction, I'm good. Because the only person I'll ever compete with is me. From this point on, I know I've had my fair. From this point on, starting today. And I think you gentlemen should have this mentality as well. But from this point on, don't worry about what all these other dudes are doing. Alright? If somebody's doing better than you, your best bet is to motivate yourself to want to do better, or see what it is that person is doing so you can figure out how you can make it work for you. Don't look at that person as competition. Look at that person as inspiration, or somebody to at least provide you a blueprint to figure out how you can make this work for you to get your mind right so that you can level up. I'm so tired of, you know, people would be like, well, you're not as big as this person, or, you know, you're not as considered to be valuable, or your information may not be as valuable as that person over there. If that's how people feel, you go talk to that person over there and let me do what the fuck I'm doing over here. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, you know, it tends to really fuck with our heads, because I think the value that we put on ourselves, and this is the craziest thing I'll ever tell you, but the value that we put on ourselves is value that is given to us, if that makes sense. This is what the value that the most people put on themselves are things that they've heard about themselves from others. So all the praises and all of that shit that people are saying about you, that is what you believe to be valuable. That is what you take into consideration as you bringing value. You might be bringing value to their lives, but if you base everything that your life is built upon the accolades and the pats on the back from other people, the minute they start shitting on you, your whole world crumbles. The minute somebody don't like what you do, your whole world falls apart. Everybody looking at you like, everything was all good just a week ago with your ass, but now all of a sudden, man, nobody won't fuck with you. Guess what? Where do you stand now? You know? So when it comes to being high value, I think high value is more or less a mindset, and even Kevin Samuels mentioned that in the video. High value is a concept, and it's a mindset, how you feel about yourself and everything. Although there is a money point that is put on it, that's not really the know-all be-all. There's a lot that goes into it. The same rules apply if you are dealing with yourself and your potential value abroad. All right, so just think about that. I want you to marinate on that one as you guys go through the rest of the day, and just think, man, don't allow yourself to be shitted on in any way, shape, or form, or nobody take away your value from you. Don't ever put your value in others. That's the best way for me to put it. Because again, if I look at myself in comparison to others, and I'd be like, man, this motherfucker is clearing like $20,000 a month, and I'm over here making my little buddy, you just gonna be like, well, damn. And that sucks. So rather than worried about that shit, guys, I just want you guys to be worried about making sure you're okay. All right? So your value abroad, to me, is based off of how well you carry yourself, how well you conduct yourself, what you bring to the table. You know, being you, but being a you that people can fucking respect. That people can, you know, look at you and say, I could tell this motherfucker about something, you know? And I want you to always keep that in your head. That's the best way for me to tell you to bring value to yourself when you travel anywhere abroad, Philippines and beyond. All right? Y'all stay blessed. Y'all stay true, man. This has been a Good Doc, man. Enjoy yourself. And with that being said, Good Doc is officially out. At least nako paalam, which means I am going now. Bye-bye. As always, love you guys. Sincerely do. Mahal kita. Mabuhay. Peace.